Welcome to Hustle and Flow with Heather Hubbard, episode number 35. Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard, and I was a litigator, partner, and practice group leader at an AmLaw 200 firm. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you embrace your ambition without selling your soul? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Hello and welcome back. I am your host, Heather Hubbard. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is the first Tuesday of the month, so you know what that means. Listener Q&A. Okay, so since August, I've been doing listener Q&A on the first Tuesday of each month. I have committed to doing it for the rest of the year, and then we will reevaluate. If you would like to have a question answered, all you have to do is fill out the survey on my website. So go to hustleandflowpodcast.com/survey. We'll also put a link in the show notes. It's a really brief survey. It's really just for me to get more background information on you, my listeners, to find out what you're doing, what kind of practice you have, what kind of company or firm that you're with, what your biggest struggles are, that kind of thing. And then there's an opportunity for you to also ask questions. If you choose to provide your name and contact information, I might also reach out to you to have a brief phone call just to learn a little bit more. But you don't have to do that. You can submit it 100% anonymously. So you don't have to provide your name if that concerns you at all. But I highly encourage you to go fill out the survey if you haven't already. Okay, so a lot of the questions that I have received in the survey relate to business development. Some of you have provided me more information than others as to your particular situation, and business development is extremely unique. There are certain general themes that, of course, always apply, but how you come up with your own business development strategy that's going to work for you, that is very fact dependent, right? This is what any lawyer would tell you when they say, oh, it's just a hit and run. It's still very specific to you and your situation. So the question that I'm answering today, I'm answering it as opposed to the others because it was more specific. So this question comes from Whitney, and she is a solo attorney. She just started her own firm practicing family law. Congratulations, Whitney. She has moved to a new area, and so she was asking for any help, any guidance, any advice on how she can go about getting more client leads and growing her book of business. So that's what we're going to cover today. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a solo attorney or I don't do family law, so this isn't going to help me in any way. All right, you've probably heard me say this before, but that is the typical lawyer brain talking. That's where you're like, that doesn't apply to me. I already know this. If you can come to it from a perspective of just being curious and asking, how might this apply to me? How might I take some of what's being discussed today and apply it to my situation? You may get some great ideas during this episode. It may not completely apply, but if it in any way sparks a new idea for you that allows you to get more business, then that's a win. So this is for everyone, although if you are into family law or you are a solo attorney, I think you're going to especially like it. Okay, so the one thing I don't know is whether or not we're talking about a small town or a larger city. That could impact the approach, but I'm just going to try to ignore that for now. So there are really three things, if you're a solo, to consider. And the first is relationships. The second is advertising. And the third is sales funnels. Those are the three main areas that you need to be looking at when you're trying to develop what your business strategy is going to be. Now, there may be overlap, right? So your funnel might involve advertising, your funnel might involve relationships. That's okay, but you really want to consider them separately when you're working on your strategy because they are unique approaches. All right, I'm not going to go into a ton on the advertising piece, but done well, it works. And maybe we'll do an episode on that one day. You know, some people are like, I don't want to do advertising. I don't want to do billboards. I don't want to be on the side of a bus. I hear you. I get it. But again, there are some people in the market, in different markets, that spend a lot on advertising. You would be shocked at the amount they spend on advertising, but they do it because it pays off. So we're not going to go into a ton there, but just know that advertising is an avenue. That said, if you're just spending low dollars on advertising and you're working with a company that has not gotten great results for other clients, it'd be a little bit skeptical. There are a lot of people in the legal marketing area that I don't think are that great. They're not that qualified. But because, you know, they focus on the legal piece, a lot of attorneys tend to hire them. And so I just warn you to look for the best of the best. Don't worry about whether or not they're actually in the legal market or have any legal expertise. What you want is for them to be in the advertising market. So with that said, let's break down relationships and let's break down funnels. All right, relationships. This might seem obvious. It's like, well, of course, I need to network. I need to be out in the community, but you want to be targeted. So Whitney is doing family law, and that's great. I love it. As you guys know, I am a huge fan of niching down. So it is important not to serve everyone, because if you are trying to speak to everyone, no one will hear you. In episode number 7, The Riches in the Niche, I break down why you might want to consider niching your practice, or at least niching your marketing. So I love that Whitney's doing family law. And let me just go ahead and say, again, I don't know if she is in a small town or a large city. A lot of times attorneys think that if they're in a smaller market, that they can't niche down. They have to do everything. When I was doing one of the interviews for someone that had completed the survey just a few weeks ago, she's in a small town, and she was telling me how she decided to follow that riches in the niche concept and just do family law also in her small town. And her business is booming. She's turning clients away. And she didn't have that before, because basically she's become known as the go-to person for that kind of work. And so her business is doing really well, and she's doing what she loves. So for those of you in small towns that think you have to do everything, she is proof that you don't. All right, so here we go. Relationships. The first question that you want to ask yourself is, who is your ideal client? One, what area of law are you focusing on? Here we've got family law, but anyone and everyone might need a divorce, right? That really is not dependent on how much money you make or even your sexual orientation or anything else. We all tend to deal with divorce. Family law might also include custody issues or adoption. Now, if you have a specific area that you really like to do, then you can focus on that. But so let's say it's divorce work. Who is your ideal client? Here, the question is just, who do you like working with the most? Who can you help the most? Do you prefer women? Do you prefer men? That may not matter, but it might. Do you prefer them to not have a lot of assets or children, so it's a really easy divorce? Maybe you actually like the high wealth divorces where, you know, there's a lot of back and forth and it's contentious. Others of you are like, oh my gosh, those are the worst. The question isn't really, who do you think you can sell to? The question is, who do you enjoy serving the most? Now, if you are in a small town, at first, just niching down is going to be enough. Until you have more work than you can handle, you probably don't need to worry too much about your ideal client. But if you are in a larger market, the ideal client is going to be super important, because you need to be able to speak to people in a way that they're like, oh, she gets me. He gets me. So what does their profile look like? Again, you might look at gender, you might look at age, you might look at the family profile. Do they have children? You might look at their occupation. Just come up with, who is your ideal client? Then you want to ask yourself, well, where do they hang out? And that could be different. It could be that they're hanging out at school functions. Maybe they're hanging out at the soccer field or the baseball field. Maybe they're in church. Maybe they are in the Rotary Club. Maybe they're in chambers. Maybe they're at an alumni function for their college. The options are limitless on this. You just have to say, okay, who's my ideal client and where are they hanging out? And sometimes it's going to be quite obvious. You just know your market and where you can find them. And by the way, it's not always where can you find them in a physical space. Maybe it's a Facebook group, or maybe it's just Facebook. Maybe they hang out there a lot. It could also be they read certain newspapers or magazines or publications, right? So you just want to get creative and think about, where is my ideal client spending the most time? Where can I find them? Once you know that, then you start working on the network. Then you start working on the relationships. So if you're new to the area, you may have to just ask around. But once you have that in place, then you can decide, where do you want to get involved? Maybe you become a member of the Rotary Club, or you at least start attending all of the lunches. Even if you're not really into the Rotary Club, even if you don't really think their speakers are that great, if that's where your ideal client is hanging out, then you need to be there at every single meeting so that you can be seen. And so you can start there, right? You just want to get around the other people that are part of your ideal client market, and then you want to get in front of them. And you want to be heard and you want to be known. So if there's an opportunity for you to speak in front of them, do that. Maybe you can become a guest speaker at the Rotary Club. Let's say, your ideal clients are hanging around certain schools or certain activities for their children. Then, if you don't have children, that could get a little awkward, or nieces or nephews. But if you can find out where they're hanging out, then you can at least get to know them. So you just want to start with building a rapport and then seeing if you can't make presentations. Now, let's say it's church, or let's say it is the baseball field. If you're getting to know these people, you might ask, so who do most people use if they're going through a divorce? Who are the attorneys they use and why? What are the results that they've gotten that are good, or what are the results that they've gotten that are bad? What questions come up? Like, when you're friends, do you have any friends going through a divorce? And when they have gone through, what have been their biggest issues? And then maybe it's, well, would it be helpful if I just kind of did a checklist or a short meeting? I mean, do you all want to come over to my house? And we'll just, do some cocktails and appetizers, and I'll just kind of go over some of the basics of what to think about with a divorce. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, right? It doesn't have to be the Rotary Club. It can be just getting to know people, but giving them an opportunity to see you and hear you in your element. It's one thing just to know you. It's another to think that you are a credible attorney. And for whatever reason, women tend to not always hire other women when they think it will mess up the friendship. So I was talking with one of my diversity masterminds recently, and this topic came up. Do you stay in the friend zone too long? Are you constantly just building rapport and becoming friends? So much so that by the time someone actually would need to hire you, they don't feel comfortable because you're too close, and they don't want you knowing their dirty laundry or their finances. So it's important that early on, obviously you want that relationship, but it's important early on that you begin to shift it so that they can see you as an expert, that they can see you as a lawyer, and they can see that you 100% have their back and you are a trustworthy advisor. That said, you also don't want to be super salesy. If you just walk up to people and say, I'm a divorce attorney, just moved here. Do you know anyone going through a divorce that might need some help? I mean, that would seem common sense, but we all see people do it. You just want to build that relationship. Keep in mind that you don't want to be in the friend zone forever. Now, family law is an interesting concept because sometimes people don't even need you when you first meet them. So we're going to talk about that in a minute with the sales funnel. That's where you're really targeting people that need you now. Relationships are often cultivated over time. And relationships aren't just about getting work from the person that you're building a relationship with in the moment. It's generally a much longer play. And it's about referrals. I was getting ready to say you can't predict when someone's going to get a divorce, but maybe you can in some instances. But with family law, That's something where you're going to get a ton of referrals, and you just want to kind of be known and seen as the person doing that within your ideal client groups. So even if there's never an opportunity to say, do you want to come to my house and learn about divorce law? There's always the opportunity to let them know on a regular basis what you do and how you help your clients. And that just requires a lot of finesse and being subtle. But if you are in family law and you're new in an area, my number one tip is to build that network, build relationships. Just make sure that you're super targeted in where you are spending your time trying to do that. Now, I'm sharing a lot of information. Today's episode is going to be one where there is a free download. I am creating a PDF for you that's going to have a checklist and some resources on walking through and considering your strategy. So if you're in your car or you're exercising or something else as you're listening, don't worry, you can get the PDF. If you're on my email list, you're automatically going to get it. As you know, I just email that out with my newsletter. If you're not on my email list, you can get it by going to hustleandflowpodcast.com/35. Okay, so that's it for relationships. The key is just to get focused and targeted and not just kind of try anything and everything in the community. Now let's move to funnels, because with funnels, this is a short-term play, not a long-term play, and it helps you identify people that need your help now. Okay? I'm going to go through a very specific walkthrough of how Whitney might bring in some family law clients. If you were not familiar with a sales funnel concept, though, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to episode number 20. It's called Sales Funnels, and I give a very high-level overview of what that looks like. And that one also had a free download that gives you, it actually walks you through what the funnel looks like. So if you want that one, you can get that one at hustleandflowpodcast.com/20. All right, but I want to do this one with Whitney in mind. So the first thing that you want to do when you're creating your sales funnel is to have some kind of free offer. And this is where you're just providing value to a potential client, to a lead. So your clients might find this free offer or hear about this free offer in a number of different ways. If you're just getting started, you can pick one or two. If you have a lot of time on your hands because you're not busy right now, go for all of them. All right, so on your website, you probably want to have some kind of free offer. So if someone goes, they can enter in their name and their email address to get this. This is the exact same concept I'm telling you right now with my free downloads. So you can go get the PDF. To get the PDF, I want your name and email because I want to keep talking to you. And this is the exact same thing that you would be doing with your potential leads. On your website, if they give you your name and their email, you're going to email them something that's free and valuable. Another place that you can provide your free offer is speaking. So let's say that you do speak at the Rotary Club. You would want to say in your speech that anyone can go to your website to get whatever this is. And let's talk about that for a minute. Your free offer can be a ton of different things. Maybe you have a webinar, so it's a video. And maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's 40 minutes, maybe it's an hour. As long as you think that you are providing good value. And oftentimes, these are just the questions that get asked the most, right? Think to yourself, what am I always providing to people? Like, what are their most common questions? And I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over and over again. Well, they probably need that information. You could do it in a webinar. So someone comes to your website, you've got some kind of banner. It could either be in your sidebar. It could be in what's called like an opt-in, above the fold opt-in bar. And if you need an example of what that looks like, you can go to heatherjoyhubbard.com. That's my main website. And I have a bar at the top on the main page, my home page, and you'll see it just says, do you want to join my free newsletter? At the very bottom in the footer, I have another one that gives you access to it's like an ebook. It's my free guide. And then if you go to, I'm trying to think of an example. If you go to either the podcast page or the blog page, on the sidebar, I have, again, it might be the book, it might be just a newsletter opt-in, but either way, you'll see how that works from a functional perspective. Okay, so maybe it's a webinar. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe it's just everything you need to consider before you file for divorce. Now, sometimes people will offer like an article or a blog. I personally don't think that's a great idea because you can Google so many different things these days, and articles and blogs are a little bit more on the boring side. You want it to be as practical as possible. So maybe a resource list. If it involves adoption, I'm not in family law, so I feel like I can't give like really good examples, but you'll know what it is. Like what kind of resources? It can be websites. Maybe it's a website to the courthouse, but maybe it's websites to, resources for battered women that are going out on their own. Any kind of resource list that you think that they might need. And it also could be links, again, to articles and blogs, but I personally don't think that provides a ton of value. Another one that could be really good is an assessment. Maybe it's an assessment that asks something like, do you have everything in order to file for divorce? Now, also keep in mind that you're going to need to say that it's an advertisement. You need to look at your local and your state rules related to advertising. I'm not going into that piece, but you can do all of this as long as you have those disclaimers. Okay, so maybe it's an assessment. It doesn't matter what it is. Just think about where can you provide the most value for people that have a problem right now and need to hire a family law attorney. And you might have a few different ones, right? So maybe if you've got one for divorce, one for adoption, whatever comes up for you the most, and there are questions that come up and something that would be valuable, then offer it. Okay, so they're going to get that. One, they could get it on your website. Another is anytime you speak, you want to tell this. You want to talk about whatever your free offer is. And you can tell them to go get it off your website. You can tell them if they give you your business card or sign up their name and email on a piece of paper, you'll send it to them afterwards. You just want to go ahead and capture that information. Another is you can put it on your business card. I've seen this where when you hand someone your business card on the back side, it says, get this free webinar or get this free resource by going here. And you might just have a special link on your website just for that free offer. Another is social media ads. Family law is a good one, right? You can probably do some social media ads to get targeted ads to people that are considering divorce, or at least within the age range of what you think your target client is. So it's just saying, thinking about divorce, here's a checklist. Another is to team up with organizations. So if people are reaching out to organizations all the time or publications, you might put something in there or just offer it as a resource. Okay, so once you have the free webinar or the free resource list or assessment and you're getting it out in the world, once you get their email, obviously you want to deliver what you promised, so make sure that that happens. And if you don't already, you need to have an automatic email provider. And this is going to be in my free download for today, so I'm going to go through some examples today, though. All right, so MailChimp is a good free provider. Others are Aweber, ActiveCampaign, that's who I use, ConvertKit. And then there are some much larger ones. You can use HubSpot, Infusionsoft. Locally here in Nashville, we have Emma, although they're a national company, anyone could use them. But you want some type of email marketing system. Some of those have CRM. You may or may not want to use that, but you can get it pretty cost effectively. And so you set it up with forms. And by the way, guys, when I started my business, I'm scrappy. I did all of this on my own. Of course, I had no idea how, but YouTube is very informative. You can read a lot of training and tutorials and figure it out. And if you don't want to do that and you've got the money to spend, then hire a web developer to help you. But they're going to insert their name, their email. It's going to link to the email marketing system, and that will automatically push it out. So this is automated. Once you set it up, you're not doing anything. It happens on its own. So then once that first email has gone out, you want to nurture that relationship by continuing to send out other emails. And this is different than a newsletter. This is a true funnel. So you want to think about what else can you provide? How else can you help them? And you're doing two things. One is you are trying to give them value. You're trying to nurture a relationship, especially if it's a cold lead. They may not know you. They may not know anyone that has ever worked with you. But the other thing that you're wanting to do is you're wanting to weed out those that are not ready or are not a good fit. So a lot of times as lawyers, we tend to say yes to anything that walks in the door. Even if we're like, there are red flags going up, or we know they're not our favorite clients. We're like, I got to put food on the table. I need the money. So I'm going to say yes. You don't want to do that because, again, I want you to be happy. I want you to be satisfied. I want you to be fulfilled. There's plenty to go around, especially in the family law arena. I know there's a ton of family lawyers out there, but if you can keep focused on pulling the right people in, you're going to be so much happier. And you're probably going to get your bills paid faster or paid at all. So, okay, you're trying to weed out those that are not a good fit, which means as each email progresses, and there's a lot of science behind this, you might send it every other day, you might send one a week. You just kind of have to be willing to test that out and figure out what's working the best for you. But if someone's not quite ready, they're just getting information, they're just wanting to threaten their spouse, you don't actually want them ever walking into your office. And if they cannot afford you, you don't want them ever walking into your office. So part of what you're doing with this funnel is you're trying to weed them out. So you would say things like, here's what you can expect if you move forward with a lawsuit. And so it might say you need to have a budget of X amount to pay for the lawyer, or you need to be prepared for this or pull these documents together. And maybe your emails are actually telling them to go ahead and pull together documents. So it might be, okay, today's lesson or today's challenge or whatever you want to call it, today's resources relate to helping you pull together all of the documents that you need. And then have them do that. And that's going to help you too, because once they actually come into your office, you're going to be able to move straight to the more advanced conversations as opposed to spending your time. If you do free consults, you're going to be spending your time having these same conversations, educating people, and they may never hire you. I don't want you wasting your time. I want you only meeting with people that are good prospects. So you want to weed out those that are not a good fit. And here's the other thing. When people call into your office and say, hey, can I talk to Whitney? I'm looking for a divorce attorney. You can train your assistant to be able to ask questions like, have you considered this, or have you pulled these documents together? Have you talked to another attorney? We'd love for you to watch this webinar first. Maybe you require everyone to watch your webinar or do your resource list before they come in for a consult. So you're warming them up through that email sequence. And if they're not willing to give you their name and email in order to do that pre-work, they're probably not a good fit for you. Okay, so you're weeding out people so that by the time they get to the end of the email funnel, and again, you're just going to have to test it. You can't really just duplicate others. You got to figure out what works for your market and your people. But let's say it's 4 or 5. By the time they get to the end of that sequence, if they're still reading, if they're still doing what you're asking them to do, and they still want to talk to you, that's when you want to book them for a free or paid consult. That's up to you whether or not you do that for free or you have some kind of initial charge. A lot of times people do paid consults because they waste so much time with free ones. But if you're following this process, you may be able to do the last one for free because you know that they're going to be a good fit and they're already a really warm lead. So the likelihood of them hiring you is much, much higher. So at that point, again, you want the consult. And that's either getting on the phone with you or coming into the office, up to you. And that's when you can say, just reply with the dates, or, and this is a really good way to do it, you can have an online scheduler. So you can use something like Acuity or Calendly, or there's some other options out there. I will put that in the free resource with the download for today. And some of them are free. A lot of them are free. And so then you can set up the times and days when you're willing to do these consults. And maybe you just block that off in your calendar. Your assistant can keep it current. And then that way, all that the person has to do in the emails, they click a link and it goes straight to that calendar and they can make an appointment without having to do the back and forth. Some people like having their assistant guard their calendar, so it's whatever works for you. The key is to get it automated so that you're not doing a lot of heavy lifting. But then they're going to come in for the consult, and at that point, they already want to hire you. You've given them all the information. They've done the prep work. They know what it's going to cost. They just now want to hire you. And that's going to make your consults so much better. So that is my advice for you, Whitney. You don't have to do the advertising, although it might work for you, especially if you're trying to build up your reputation in a new community. But one, I would encourage you to work on those relationships with your ideal client only, and 2, to create some type of sales funnel, kind of like the one I have outlined for you today, so that you can take cold leads and get them warm, give them value, weed out those that are not a good fit, and then land the client, because at that point, they're absolutely going to love you. Okay, so that's my answer to your question. I hope it was helpful. For those of you that are solos, for those of you that are in family law or in any firm, I hope that you have enjoyed listening to how a funnel would actually work in real life and give you some ideas as to some steps you can start taking today or tomorrow to get more qualified leads in the door. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to go fill out that survey if you have a question. Again, that's hustleandflowpodcast.com/survey. And if you want the free download where I have the checklist and the resources related to relationships and funnels, then you can go to hustleandflowpodcast.com/35. Have a great week. For show notes, downloads, and other free resources, and to keep the conversation going, head on over to hustleandflowpodcast.com. See you there.